What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's edition of the Ergo Weekly Update. This video should be coming out on March 6th, 2022. We're going to start with Luivatra. ErgoPad has launched the first staking platform on the Ergo network. That's a pretty big accomplishment. So I'd like to take a moment to congratulate their team. It looks like so far they've created 551 different stake boxes with a total of 23.2 million ErgoPad tokens. They fixed a configuration in the ErgoPad instance for the Explorer so that now can be used for ErgoPad's backend, taking away some of the load from the public Explorer, which is pretty nice to see. Looks like they have started the development of a new proxy contract for vesting the Paideia, I think it is, Paideia presale tokens, allowing the DApp connector to be used instead of the assembler. I do think that the Paideia initial launch is coming up here soon. It looks like they're also reaching out to Ain't in terms of R&D solutions for on-chain voting. The off-chain execution will be done by similar bots as what ErgoDex uses. And it looks like they're investigating a generic design that can be used across multiple dApps, which hopefully puts local operators in a position where they can run multiple bots off-chain, support multiple apps on the Ergo network, and create a decentralized solution that's also incentivized, allowing miners and bot operators to secure the network in a decentralized way. That's pretty cool. That opens up a lot of infrastructure potential that I've talked about in the past with extended UTXO. If we really want to move towards Web3, having decentralized batching solutions is going to be an important part of that. So as that develops, I know there are some people that are already running ErgoDex batching bots on Raspberry Pis and very light devices. Hopefully, as the network grows, we see the incentives behind that create kind of a secondary light miner scenario where people can operate hardware, support the network, and also earn a reward. Next, we hear from Kai from ErgoLend. Looks like they're continuing their lending pool research. There's no technical update at this point, but hopefully we get one in the future. Deco, which is previously ErgoLearn, is going to be starting a layman's course for students in Europe and North American time zones, and an ErgoScript developer course. If you're out there and you're interested in learning from starting at layman's level and getting into understanding UTXO, ErgoScript, and the features and kind of workflows of developing on top of Ergo, please join. I think there were actually quite a few of the batch 0 students that came into the first iteration of this course with zero knowledge of programming even. And some of them actually ended up participating in the hackathon and building viable solutions on top of Ergo. So if that's something that you've wanted to get into but haven't been willing to take the jump, it's a good opportunity. I would recommend you consider that. It looks like their Discord structure is being revamped with the update of Deco. They've recruited a couple of core members for teaching and contribution. They've been developing a sustainable educational model in terms of teachers teaching. And more importantly, I think they're going to get some more community assistance. You know, as an Ergo Foundation member, I would love to try to subsidize and support what they're doing. Make sure that developers that are coming into the ecosystem and are taking their personal time to teach new students, new people coming into the network, I think we can do a bit to incentivize that. So We'll discuss potential ways of funding that, both on the EF side and the community side, and hopefully kick that off. Having open course learning is really a powerful thing. You know, it builds the mind share of the network, and it really brings fresh ideas into the space. So I'm going to do what I can to support that. I'm a big fan. So if Ergo has a skunkworks department, a secret lab somewhere that's developing neat frameworks, that's going to be done by scalahub. He's been working on a paper for the new mixing protocol that's going to be codenamed Sigmajoin, which offers some additional non-interactive features versus zero join, what's currently in use by the mixer. I think that if this is a viable solution, which by the looks of it, it is, it offers a tremendous upgrade to the user experience of the mixer. And I think that it's something that we should potentially try to integrate into as many places as we can, especially if you don't need to be online to participate. It opens up the mixer as a gateway, perhaps a gateway between a wallet and a DEX, a gateway in terms of the wallet or NFTs or really anything that's being built on top of Ergo. So I'm really excited to see this come about and watch it as it moves from paper to framework to practice. That's always kind of a fun experience to watch. Now he's also been working on Dexy enhancements. Those of you that don't know, it is a trader balanced, let's call it stable-ish coin. Dexy isn't designed to always trade at $1. It's designed to trade within a range around $1. And kind of the beauty of this contract is that it allows traders to be the balancing mechanism. If Dexy slips on one side of the contract, there's arbitrage potential. And if it slips on the other side of the contract, there's arbitrage potential. So hopefully as Dexy comes out, it gets built into wallets, it becomes an actively traded, stable-ish coin. There's a lot of algorithmic or over-collateralized stable coins. This is the first stable coin that I've seen that's not necessarily designed to always be pegged at $1, or I guess perhaps you could do it with €1 or really a derivative of pretty much any price point. But the main, let's say, unique feature of this is that it's trader powered. So those of you that like to try to take a little bit of profit and arbitrage between contracts, it's going to be an interesting framework. I think we'll probably see potentially some bots coming to play, and who knows, that might even act to make it more of a stable-ish coin. It's hard to say how this plays out, but I'm excited to watch it as it develops. Next, we hear from greenhat. greenhat is a core developer that runs the Sigma Rust team. It looks like that team is working on bindings, working on the NepoPal header, and it looks like greenhat himself is focused primarily on the Oracle core. Looks like he's organized the repo and the project structure, and he's established a client interface with the usual tests and checks. Looks like he's going to implement the mainnet loop and state machine for V2 pretty soon. That's really exciting. The Oracle framework that Ergo came out with is really quite neat in terms of how it aggregates data and hardens oracles versus having just a single point-to-point framework, which is pretty common in the crypto space. Now, one thing that was an issue with Oracle version 1 is it wasn't very efficient. And so it's been redesigned to be a little bit more efficient in terms of the incentives for the people that are running and participating in Oracle pools. Now, hopefully as DeFi comes out, we see a greater variety of oracles on the Ergo network, and as bridges come out, we see more cross-chain or potentially, simply transference from chain to chain via an API. We'll see how that evolves. We have a lot of room to move into that space. It's something that certainly could use some additional security in our industry, and I think that having this framework reworked to where it's a little bit more efficient makes it more competitive. And as it's more competitive, I think we'll see more adoption. We're just kicking off that process. Next, we hear from MrStahlfelge. Looks like he's working full steam, which he works pretty fast anyway, so let's see what full steam means. He's working on token information enhancements. Basically, increasing the amount of information that you can pull up in the wallet about tokens. That looks like that code is shared between the Android and iOS, and it looks like he's already finished the Android part, so that should be coming out hopefully when he wraps up the iOS part. But MrStahlfelge at full steam that means business. Next, we hear from MHS Sam. He dropped a big update this week. Basically, Susy bridge is kind of back on track. I know that uses part of the wormhole framework, and those of you that aren't familiar, there was actually a hack that was specific to smart contracts on Solana, but nonetheless, it was certainly something that made people hit the brakes, go through the hack post-mortem, make sure that there's not some basically risk involved that potentially could affect us down the road. It looks like that's kind of been sorted out on the Susy side. It looks like he's dropped the code for the Susy Ergo RPC and the Susy Ergo scanner. Now, many of you will find the Rosen bridge pretty interesting. I know that I do. Essentially, the Rosen bridge is a ergo-centric framework. Now, without giving too many details, it's going to be built on top of Ergo, flexing Sigma protocols that are native to Ergo, and it's going to be a little bit different than a lot of the bridge frameworks that are out there. I would say it's not designed to be fast, which some bridges are. Some bridges are kind of designed to be, let's just say, for arbitrage trading, most likely, where if there's a price difference on dexes, if you can move one token from one ecosystem to another, you can potentially profit from that. Rosen bridge is designed for security, and it's also designed to be pretty universal and flexible in terms of working with other blockchains. I know that MHS is going to continue speccing that out, putting that together, and at some point we'll get documentation. And when we get documentation, I will do a video and kind of dive into that framework, because I'm pretty excited about it. Next, we have the Minatour wallet. That's been in development by Vorujak for months at this point. It's going to bring something that is unique to the Ergo ecosystem, and that is it's going to have dapp integration inside the wallet using Wasm. Now, that will allow you to interact with the stablecoin contract, and it will allow you to mint tokens from inside the wallet initially. But hopefully, as that framework expands, we see Dexy integrated into it. It would be very nice as well to see, perhaps even, one of these NFT auction houses, or perhaps even the Dex in the future. That's something that, in terms of usability, you can see some wallets out there that have kind of native dapp integration, and it really makes the usability of the wallet quite simple and easy right in one spot. So I'm really excited to play with that. It looks like they had a little UI issue that they're going to work to patch, and as soon as that's done, looks like they'll release it. Looking forward to playing with it. Now it looks like he's also been collaborating with Anon 2020S on the profitsharingdapp. Looks like that's progressing well, and they're reaching the final stages. The idea is kind of used by the ErgoPad team in their staking contract, which is live, and he gives a shout out to Luivatra for putting staking out on the Ergo network, and I have to kind of echo that. That's really nice to see. Next, we hear from Morphic. Looks like he's been busy this week. Elsewhere, he did review a Sigma State Interpreter pull request. Looks like he did a little bit of work on improving the Appkit, a couple of miscellaneous tasks, including playing with MrStahlfelge's idea for an EIP for Ergo attachments. And his main goal at this point is going to be working towards 5.0. That's going to be a pretty big upgrade for us. It's been in the works for a while, and it's actually one of those things that we keep adding to the scope of it as we build forward. Hopefully we get kind of a clear goalpost of where we want 5.0 to be as it's implemented, and I think we'll get more documentation and see that upgrade come out later this year. All right, next we hear from Kushti, who's been working on the node. It looks like he's made a PR for dynamic and optional checkpointing, which could be useful post Node 5.0 integration that would allow for some optimizations and bootstrapping improvements. It looks like he's put together a mechanism for faster fork resolutions. Now, part of that's understanding proof of work. Essentially, when you have two blocks that are pretty much broadcast to the network simultaneously, every once in a while you'll kind of get a fork, and over time, one of them will become longer, the other one will kind of evaporate. Now in Ergo, that doesn't happen too often. We have a pretty long block time, which is around 2 minutes, and a part of kind of the conservative nature about that is it assists in preventing two blocks from appearing, pretty much simultaneously. Now on something like Ethereum, right now that happens quite often. It's called an uncle block instead of, I guess it's not seen as necessarily a negative thing because there's some incentive for it, but one thing that slower block time does give Ergo is just a cleaner blockchain because that event happens less often. Now, looks like the newest node client interface 4.0.24 is almost done. So looks like there will be some additional review, and we'll get a new reference client up there. Everybody who's interested, when that hops out, update your node. All right, next we hear from Anon 2020S. He wanted to congratulate the ErgoHack winners. Looks like he's collecting addresses for people that have participated in ErgoHack and have also assisted with mixer development. And looks like there will be a distribution of rewards for the mixer token. Looks like on the latest mixer release there was a bug that's going to be patched in the next update. Essentially it has to do with displaying mixing history. I'm sure we'll see an update on that pretty soon. He reviewed the ErgoHack 3 winners stealth address solution. Said it looks good. He's in contact with them to do some revisions and update the mixer with that new feature. That's exciting to see. So pretty soon we will be able to break linkability in terms of the token and the token holder. And with stealth addresses, the actual receiving address will be shielded. Nice to see. Next we hear from Quokka, who is one of the team members at SkyHarbor, which is an NFT store. Looks like their beta launch is coming up soon. those of you that don't know, SkyHarbor developers were actually involved in the initial ErgoGnome vending machine drops, where you would sign up for, let's say, an ErgoGnome transaction as they were available, send in your funds, and receive kind of a pull that was unexpected. Well, they've upped their game, and they're putting together an actual NFT store with user profiles and all kinds of good stuff. NFT price tracking should be quite an upgrade to the current experience of NFTs. Now, I think they're certainly going to be incentivizing the auction house to update and improve, which is great. Competition makes us all better. Next, we hear from SoCool. Looks like he did a washover of the Ergo Mixer front end to update everything to newer libraries and moved it into the Webpack. Looks like he's also created some big performance improvements for his charting site, as well as updating all data to the 228 seed. We also have an update here from Captain Nemo. Looks like with Nautilus, basic chained transaction implementation is done, and he's working to stabilize it and improve the user experience. He released a new version, version 0.1.12, that has a remove wallet functionality. He's added a couple of user interface improvements. He's also improved the transaction interpreter and added a couple of other small UI fixes. Next, we hear from Ilya at ErgoDex. It looks like new Explorer API methods are being implemented. Looks like there's an additional Explorer instance that's being set up, which creates some additional redundancy since a lot of wallets call the Explorer. Looks like he's preparing a major ErgoDex analytic backend update that is going to include some support for price charts and slippage prediction. He's also working on a sidechain solution for the ErgoDex. My dog's over here whining at me. I don't know if you can hear him. Wants love. Yeah, I know how that goes. Alright, next we hear from Jay the Ergod from the NightOwl team. Looks like they're continuing to work on wallet integrations. They're setting up an Oracle. They're working on their front end. They've established a rough roadmap for version 0.1.0. They've created a mock-up for the advanced LP page. They've created a transaction structure for the web page that is almost complete in 9 different languages. That's pretty impressive. And they've created a competitive analysis blog, and that's going to be released here in the near future. So keep your eyes open for that. All right, next we hear from MGpai from Ergo Sapiens. He's working on an NFT project in the Ergo ecosystem. Probably one of the biggest things that they've put together is an open source minting program. They're adding features to include NFT royalties. They've figured out a method to mint in bulk using Anon Real's assembler API with Python. And they've figured out a method to mint from the Appkit. It looks like they did some testing this week, minting from the Appkit for more stability. They're improving their core programming setup. They're working on a rarity program, and they're looking to standardize that for all NFTs using Hazy One Kenobi's metadata specifications from ErgoGnomes. They're also currently working on a artwork engine that's currently going to be in the works, and basically an art layer compiling engine for NFTs. It's a fork of HashLips code with the metadata standard of the Erg ecosystem. I'm not too familiar with Hashlip's code, so I'll have to look into that. It looks like Anon Real, who is behind both the auction house and the SigUSD contract, has implemented Nautilus and Yoroi support for SigUSD org. That should help with the throughput issue when the reserve ratio goes above 400% again. Looks like that's still being tested. Looks like he's working on collecting an EIP and artwork EIP improvement for built-in support of metadata in the auction house. The first draft will be ready in a day or two. And so he's asking for community comments. And hopefully we'll have a complete standard covering some future use cases. And if you're an artist in the NFT ecosystem, please get involved. Give us your feedback. Help us set good standards. Next, we hear from Rob from GitBlock. Looks like they're continuing to improve their interface. They're looking into distribution methods for NFTs based on proof of work or block miner. Looks like they've started the basic planning for subpooling. Looks like All Cloudy has deployed new servers in India and East Australia with full nodes and low latency stratum. He says, "Good day, mates." Looks like Rob himself is working to launch an ambassador program. He's working on legal discussions at the end of this week to figure out where their guardrails are in terms of what they want to build and where that makes sense from a legal perspective. He's collaborating with Christoph on NFT concepts, and he's discussing plans for a GitBlock AMA session. Hopefully we get more details on when that AMA session is going to be, and I hope a lot of you show up with questions. Next we hear from Haley PDLL. It looks like he has added some new functionality to SafeWallet 0.4.2. Probably one of the biggest in terms of user experience is going to be exporting transactions as a CSV file. Basically, that's very good for miners specifically because they often collect Erg in small shares, but it's also pretty useful for traders in terms of tax purposes. So having the ability to track and export transactions into other programs is very useful. It's nice to see. Looks like he's also been working with displaying the value of tokens in Erg. He's fixing the UTXO selection when sending multiple assets. Looks like he's also improving the details in the transaction builder. A lot of progress there. Great job, Haley. Next we hear from LGD from Guap Swap. They released their beta last weekend and didn't have any reported issues from their users. They had a Twitter Space AMA. I missed that, unfortunately. Hopefully there was some good engagement from the Ergo community. It looks like the beta has complete functionality and is ready for internal testing, and they will be making a release at the end of the week. They've finished the Guap Swap Ronin, which is essentially will sync the progress with regular Guap Swap, and they've started working on Guap Swap 2.0.0, which is going to bring multi-token profit swapping. That's going to be pretty neat to see. It looks like Guap Swap is going to end the weekly update for this week. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Stay safe, stay happy. And if you're contributing in the Ergo ecosystem, thanks for your support. We appreciate it.